All right, and welcome everyone. For our coordinated enrollment training series time today, we have Catherine and Beth and other teammates I see on as well. As a reminder for you all, Catherine and Beth are funded through our preschool development grant to help us on evaluating or assessing and reflecting on coordinated enrollment work. We identified early on a desire from all of you, the coordinated enrollment staff, to have some standard family survey questions to learn about families' experiences with coordinated enrollment. I think, then identified a work group of some of you all to be able to develop that survey, really figure out sort of how we can best kind of learn of family experiences and also point to areas where we want to continuously improve or learn more about and change and continue to grow into some of our coordinated enrollment responsibilities. So I'm so excited to have Catherine and Beth here to then introduce to everyone our family survey that we will be using and talk about sort of the logistics of getting that done. Because we have so many folks here on the call, I'd like to ask if you all could use the chat to type your name, the hub region you are joining us from. And I think that's it. And perhaps we could have, if you were in the work group, could you identify as well that you were part of our work group here? And I think other than that, Catherine, I'll hand it over to you and let us get started.
Unmuting would help, wouldn't it? Thank you, Anne. Hi, everyone. Thanks. I want to say a hearty, huge thanks to the members of the work group as you identify yourselves. It was fabulous to work with you. It was really helpful. It was really a collaborative process, and we learned a lot that we wouldn't have known if you hadn't have stepped up and told us and sort of walked us through the process. So thank you so much. And I just want to say to your colleagues that you really gave us a step up as we worked on this. So I have some slides just to kind of ground us. And can I go ahead and share? Yes, I can, because it's green. Woohoo! That I just want to walk us through. I'm Catherine Parrish, by the way. I am a researcher, senior researcher at the Oregon Social Learning Center and OSLC Developments Incorporated. They're two sister nonprofits in Eugene, Oregon. And I've been working with Beth Green, who is at PSU, Portland State University. And as Anne said, we're both working through the preschool development grant to try to provide you guys with some information to help with continuous learning and continuous improvement of the coordinated enrollment process. And we're starting on that journey with this coordinated enrollment family survey. Just to give you some background about that, again, the purpose is to support continuous learning about the 2021-22 coordinated enrollment process. Specifically, this particular survey will be to gather family feedback on the process. So from families who are working through that. There will be in our coming attractions box here, there will be other surveys and interviews coming later. We will have a provider and partner survey that will go out, we think probably in October after the enrollment process is hopefully completed so that we can get feedback from those individuals as well as some interviews with you all. That we will also be coming to you with. Again, we want to get past this sort of enrollment season so that we can reflect back on it. So that will be in late September, early October. And we also, I should say, are going to be meeting again with the working group to try to put both of these measures together. So we will have input from your colleagues as we go forward. Okay, the basics on the family the family survey. It's a short. Beth and I were very, very good about trying to hold ourselves to not putting in 42 million questions. We can be good. We can we can occasionally go for short, but this is short. Online survey for families. As we said, we developed it with input and feedback from a working group of hub leaders and coordinate enrollment coordinators, and huge, again, can't express enough how much appreciation we have for this group and them taking the time to give us feedback and weigh in. The surveys in several languages: Chinese, traditional Chinese, English, Russian, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And the way this works is it's all in the same place, so that as families log on to the site, they can then just pick the first thing they do is pick their language, and then the whole survey's in that language. So all the same link for all the same languages, but then they can branch off. All the answers, and this is made clear to families up front, are anonymous, so no names. We will be able to link them to hubs so that you guys can have data for your particular hub by asking them. We're asking them about zip code and county. And we will be offering the parents, as an incentive to complete the survey, we're offering them the opportunity to participate in a drawing for gift cards. And the way we're doing this is we talked to our working group and decided that it would be really nice to have a gift card per hub, so we can do a per hub survey drawing. And then we also have 16 gift cards that are going to be at large, so they'll be statewide. So folks can be entered into both a survey by their hub and then a survey in the state. So there are sort of multiple opportunities to get picked, although we're only going to let people win once, to be fair. And we're likely to hold this drawing in late September, early October after we get the responses. And we're just so that you guys know, and we're also making this clear in several places on the survey, that parent information for the drawing, that should be for the drawing, cannot be linked to their data. So they're going to go to a whole different website when they enter their information, because we have to be able to contact them to enter their information. And so again, not linked. They will not, nothing is going to be connected in terms of being able to identify the parents themselves. Who we would like is any family who begins the coordinated enrollment process, regardless of whether they actually finish that process, so to speak, so whether they end up being enrolled in a program. There are several points in the survey where we sort of branch off. So, asking folks if they got through the eligibility process, and then if not, we want to know why not and what they thought about that process, asking them whether they got through the process of actually being matched to a program, and then, how that process went, and then whether they actually went to the program and signed up, and if they did, why or why not. So a couple of points at which people can sort of drop out of the process, and asking them about maybe why they did that, as well as, continuing on through the whole process and asking them about each of those pieces. And we did that because, again, in talking with folks, it's clear that there are some particular steps to this process, and people can drop out at various steps. And what we'd like to do is hear about from everybody who even entered the process, and hear about what they felt as far as they got. The how of this is that we have put together a short email that can serve as a recruitment email from families that we're asking you guys to send to them, because you're the ones who'll have contact with them, and we'll sort of know at which point you want to send it to them in the process. And that email will have the link to the survey. The email is being offered in the same 5 languages as the survey, and I believe in the email that you guys got about this meeting, there is a link to those emails. They were linkless at the time, and after this meeting today, we'll go ahead and insert the links into them so that you guys can send them out if you want. And we'll make sure that everybody does have the link to that Google Drive, that Google folder where you can pick out those surveys. And we can actually also, I don't know, and we can probably just attach them to an email as well. But so just letting you guys get them in as many ways as possible. And if for some reason you don't like those emails, which is fine. We were requested, your colleagues requested that we put one together, but if there's another way that you would like to get that link out to folks, all you have to do is copy the link and send it. So that link will work. And as I said, that'll take everybody to all the languages. And then when to send them the link is really, again, up to you guys in the sense that you will know where they are in your process, or have an idea. If they drop out of eligibility, if it's clear they're not going to be eligible, then maybe that would be a time to send them the link. If they clearly say, no, we don't want to go to this provider, or if you know that you've sent them at least as far as matching them with a provider and you can send them the link. But as much of the process as you feel like they're going to go through, you can time that sort of link. And we've talked to a few people, and I know that it varies about how people contact and when people contact, which is why I'm purposely being a little bit fuzzy here, because you will know best when you want to contact. And we don't really have any prescription for that. But as I said, we'd like to get as many people who entered the process to fill out some information about it as possible. And then where will the data go in the world? The data, as I said, the survey's online, so we have it at ODI, we've put it up. People will hit this link, their survey is going to their information will just drop down into our big database, and then each individual hub is going to receive your own data in an Excel sheet, so that you can play with it to your heart's content. And hope that our hope would be that if we close the survey in October, that we could have that data to you by mid-October. So you'll be able to do what you wish with it. And I'm going to pause here because those are the basics, and I'm sure that there are going to be questions about details, and I'm happy to try to answer them. I do want to just really quickly, as I end the slideshow portion of the entertainment, just drop off email addresses. So for sort of overall questions about the survey, whys, wheres, hows, please feel free to get in touch with me. This is my email address. If you have specific problems with the survey, or you have someone for whom the survey is not working, Dina Scheit is our project coordinator at ODI, and she can get you in touch with, like, it could be our data manager, could help figure out, iron out what the technical difficulties are, etc. And these will be available again. We'll send them out to you in another form. So I'm going to stop sharing and just ask for questions. Oh, if I can stop sharing, there we go. And I'll also look in the chat in case anybody put anything over there. Oh yeah, I'll put my email in the chat. Thank you.
Catherine, I have a question.
Yes.
Will you be writing a approved short version of the invite in a text form that we could text to parents? Because I often find that parents don't check their email. And we may have better results if we send it to them via text and they can just click and go right to the survey and fill it out right then when they have a few minutes. Or should we draft that invitation ourselves by modifying the text that you've put out? Or
I think, I mean, we can certainly make suggestions, and thanks, Guy, for, I mean, approved, really there is no approved or disapproved on this. I mean, we were just trying to be helpful to generate that text in the first place, so feel free to modify it at will. So it might make more, sense in terms of speed if you want to modify it, but it also brings up the question of having the multiple languages, because that was one nice thing about having the standard. So with a little bit of time, we could probably also get you a text in multiple languages. So we can do both, but I do want people to feel free to do whatever they want with that language anyway. And like I said, you can just lift that link as well and put it wherever you'd like to put it. Does that help? Okay, and the survey will be open. That's a good question, Bess, thanks. Really, we're trying to like scoop up as many people who've been through the process as possible. So we were thinking, just given the timelines of, you know, when classes will actually open and programs will actually be opening, that we were thinking that, you know, we would probably leave it up there through September, at least mid-September. And I guess some of that can depend on you guys in the sense of, if you're feeling like you're still sending links out and you need that time, then, I mean, you know, it's no harm. It's not problematic for us to leave it up. So I don't know, Anne, is there like, since you do talk to these guys fairly regularly, we could probably do a check-in towards September, in September, and just say, hey, what's your feeling? And poll you guys about what you want to do.
Yeah, I can add that in towards our September cohort times to do a quick check-in as well.
Great.
I guess I was also wondering what your recommendations would be in terms of inviting families, whether we would kind of give families more time to, like, because in our system we can see that they've started an application, but they haven't finished it, they haven't submitted it, or maybe they have, but we're still waiting on a document or something like that. So would it be better to wait and see if they end up completing the process, or would it be better to get it out sooner? I guess I'm wondering whether to kind of wait till towards the end of the summer and do a big batch invitation, or whether we're doing it sort of on an ongoing basis. And at what point do we go, okay, this family's probably not going to advance any further, we should just go ahead and give them the survey? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And again, we're not really prescribing it. I know, I mean, from our conversations with the working group, I know that there were some folks who sort of do track things, and so would know who's dropped out. Or I know everybody tracks things, but I mean, they would know sooner rather than later if people had dropped out. And so we're thinking about that they would send the survey up then. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with waiting and doing a big dump at the end of the season. I really, you guys are the experts on this, and so I would defer to you in terms of how you feel best, like that best works. With the coda there, that like, if you know, I think like for the eligibility, if there are people that really have fallen out of the eligibility, and you know they're not going to go further, or they tell you, hey, I don't want to be in the process anymore, you know, it might make sense to follow up with them fairly quickly with the link. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's really up to how your flow works in terms of what you want to do. And, you know, and I guess I you know, this, I do want you to feel that this is your data too, because it will come to you. So, you know, with the sense of like, how would you like to have that data come in, and, you know, and how do you feel it'll maximize your return, so to speak, knowing your families and knowing how the process works. Like, how can you get as many as possible? But thank you. That's a really good question. Everybody's so quiet.
So is it live now? Could we, like, is it after this meeting, or what is the start date when you want us to wait until?
I just wanted to, we really just wanted to get a chance to introduce it to you. So it will be live dependent on how fast I can move my fingers.
Oh, okay.
And I know that I have meetings until about 4 or so.
Oh,
But
okay.
after that,
Okay.
I'm going to go, go
We'll
put the
wait
link in. Yeah.
for a
But
notification, like it's
yes,
ready. Okay.
right. But then, you know, again, feel free to really do, you know, if it makes sense to send it out tomorrow to some folks, please feel free.
A quick question, and apologies if you've already reviewed this. Are we just isolating families that are going through the process now? If we had some families that enrolled end of the last program year, would it be appropriate to reach out to those families too?
When we talked as a group, I don't know, a few months ago, I think we had sort of decided, just given the timing on things, that it made sense to make a clean, you know, we're talking about this year, the 2021 to 2022, because, you know, 2020 had sort of the burning dumpster had gone off the side of the cliff already. But so I think that we'd like to concentrate on this year, just because it gives us a really contained and circumscribed period of time.
I'll just add to that briefly too, knowing that we changed some of the enrollment processes and stuff for this, you know, summer and program year starting piece to, you know, think about finding from those families that are using the kind of current process that you're going through, knowing some things change that might make it a little harder to take action on what you might see as results from the data.
Got it, thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Hello, Luis Barajas here from YCCO. I guess where I'm confused at is at what opportunities should we approach to pass these forms out?
I think that it makes the most sense to do it as people come. I mean, like as Sky was saying, like if you know that it's a parent, so it needs to be a parent who's come into your process, so has at least started the enrollment process. And then I think it's very much up to you whether you'd like to say wait till the end of the summer, when you're reasonably sure that most people who were going to complete the process have completed the process, and you could just send it out to, you know, a whole list of people that started the process. Or if there are places during the process when, you know, if you see if a family starts the process and then it's been a month or so and they haven't completed it, and that's a point at which you might, you know, say something to them. I think that could be a time. I'm not sure. I mean, I know I'm being wishy-washy, and again, it's very much because, you know, you guys know your process is best, and when you'd like to kind of put it out there. But I don't know, Anne or Beth, do you want to add anything in here? No.
Yeah, I think if you have questions for your particular region or something you want to talk further, I'm more than happy to help thought partner with you on kind of how that might work best for you particularly, if that's helpful. But really intended to be open for the ways that it's uniquely going to be. Sorry, cat. Uniquely going to be helpful and able to reach families with that.
Wonderful, thank you both.
And yeah, hi Lisa, go ahead.
No, I'd let you finish your thought there.
Well, I was just gonna sort of echo Anne and say, you know, we want you guys to be able to get good data. I mean, helpful data, and as much as you need to be helpful. So if there are questions that you have about that, yeah, as Anne said, please reach out to her. You can also, my email's in the box, and please feel free to reach out to me too about, you know, questions about distribution, etc. Okay, yes, Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, Catherine. Hi,
Hi.
Beth. And hi, Ann. It's so good to see you guys. So I thank you for this survey. I think this is really good, and it's going to be helpful for us to understand how families are experiencing our system. And I think particularly for us, since we're just starting with Schoolment, I think it'll be really helpful for us as we're kind of putting new systems and processes in place. I have two questions. One is regarding, how will the ELD how does the ELD anticipate using this information in some of our processes and that kind of thing? So that's one question. The second question I have is with our Head Start partners and our school-based partners, or at least our school-based partners that have preschool promise, they, of course, do their own enrollment pieces. We've got great systems back and forth and sharing information and data, but is there a way, and I apologize if it's here and I'm just not seeing it, for us to make that distinction where families are not a part of our quote unquote coordinated enrollment, even though everybody's a part of our system because we all work together. But how do we make that distinction between those types of programs and how they handle it?
I can take the first part, and then I know some of your second question, is talked about in the work group, so I can start that. But I'm sure, Catherine, there's a more succinct summary than I'm going to be able to give. I think as far as what ELD plans for the data, we are seeing this as part of kind of a continued two uses kind of area, right? There's going to be things and there's questions asked that might lead you to think about how you're implementing coordinated enrollment, from your regional partnerships and from the family experience piece. And then I think there's also questions about what can we learn about the family experience that ELD has dictated, where there might be opportunities to think about how we bring that into our kind of continuous quality improvement cycle for Preschool Promise or for our programs and partnerships, related to coordinated enrollment. So I think what we plan to do with that is to include that with our information we've gotten from your self-reflections and that we will receive from those other pieces coming soon around the provider partner survey and interviews with coordinated enrollment staff later to guide some recommendations. So using sort of our multi-pronged survey and input feedback to see where we might make some changes or where we need to address and continue. So certainly not just on hub action, not just on ELD action, but really wanting to identify areas where our spheres of control are different and we might want to improve or adjust from there. When it comes to the I know we talked a bit in the work group about, families who may be applying for both and end up in a Head Start or OPK placement, or with Preschool Promise, but at a Head Start or OPK site, or somewhere where you don't necessarily have that full line. I know there's been talk about adding sort of a, where did you enroll, to start to parse some of that out. And so I think being able to look at what comes in and to identify where a family may have gone through the, hubs coordinated enrollment, practices, procedures, versus maybe started with the hub and then did end up finishing at another, at a Head Start or OPK site, for example. So there's something there to help you kind of pull that out. I do think there's also a space to think about, as we move into deeper partnerships around enrollment in coordinated enrollment work, might, these results be something that you want to share with your Head Start OPK partners about enrollment generally, knowing that families experience, enrollment as a part of the early learning system. And so I would definitely encourage you to, as we get that and as it makes sense for your partnerships and the ways things are working in your regions, to consider bringing that into the conversations too.
Will Will our Head Start and OPK Preschool Promise partners also be participating in this survey?
This is, I think the survey itself is for coordinated enrollment. So they may not be distributing the survey, but I think, you know, with
Why wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't they be if, I mean, part of their role is to be working as part of Preschool Promise as a whole
Mhm.
and the coordinated enrollment procedures. Also, that families who maybe they just go to an OCDC or a Salem Kaiser public school, right? There's still an experience that the family has with these public programs. And it actually could be some really rich information to get a sense of how families experience our systems. And honestly, I worry that families may not know who they're engaging with. They're just signing up for preschool, right? They're just gonna be like, I just need preschool. Thank you. And
Mhm.
it's great that you have a view of all of them, but they may not know who, they might not necessarily know. So
Yeah, I think we spent a time saying like, how can we, you know, have families identify with what they do know, which is, you know, where am I attending, right? Where's my child?
yeah.
And you know, it's making me think, I think along the same vein Catherine's talking about like, you know, this is something we want to be useful to you and to the efforts underway in your regions. Maybe there is a space to like look at the survey and bring to, you know, OPK Head Start partners in your region to say, you know, is this something that, you know, we might distribute as well, knowing we have that, you know, indication from families about where, you know, for those that do end up enrolling,
Mhm.
where they've
So
ended up now. But
do we have agency to be able to do that then? To work with our Head Start partners to say, can you get this survey out to families as well to help us as a region understand families' experience?
yeah, I'll check Beth and Catherine because the exact questions aren't in my mind. I see some response there about not knowing the difference and stuff. Um, I mean, I think I would encourage you to take a look at the questions, see, you know, of
Mhm.
course, we're not going to have the ability to amend or change those.
Right.
But from my vantage point, I think if those questions are useful and seem like something that you'd want to bring into your partnerships, then yes, I think being able to distribute that way, um, I don't see a barrier to doing that, Beth and Catherine, unless anything's coming to mind for you.
The only thing I can think of, and you're right, Lisa, and thanks, Patty, too, that we did talk around this a lot because you're right.
I'm
How do
sorry,
you know?
I'm late to the party, so I
Oh, no,
apologize for
I
muddying
mean,
the water.
you're not, and it's like one of those things that the water is going to be muddy anyway, right? And we were trying to make it as clear as we could. So that was the point. So we do ask, right, in the survey where kids ended up, if they were offered a placement, a program. So we do know, I mean, that can help us pull it out a little bit. I guess, you know, from our point of view, and Beth, jump in here, this is for you, and it is, the point is to make it be useful and so that you can use it. And if you think it would be useful, then just all I would offer is the coda that we're then not going to be able to know necessarily who, because we don't have anything in there about like, are you applying for an OPK? And it's all pretty much gauged. And as Michelle has just said, thank you, Michelle, took the words right out of my mouth, that they're pretty preschool promise specific. And it says preschool promise all over it. So, I mean, there is the possibility that that could get families confused. On the other hand, though, as you said, if you've got K through 12 districts that are recruiting for preschool promise for you, then that makes sense. I guess, yeah, I'm going to now defer to Beth, but, and yes, and OPK providers does have preschool promise slots. So I guess in that we're asking about preschool promise and you don't think it would confuse families if preschool promise is the thing that's mentioned here, and you think it would be useful to you, go for it. But let me
Okay.
make sure that, make sure my research partner agrees with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think as Catherine said, we struggled with this and we struggled with this in the work group and kind of talked round and round, and there just wasn't any solution that we could come up with that was going to be like working for everybody, because we know parents don't know which programs. I
Yeah.
mean, parents can be in Head Start and they don't know it's Head Start, let alone in Head Start, and whether it's funded by OPK or Preschool Promise, or, you know, they're not going to know. So anyways, yeah, I think it was sort of like, this was the best we could come up with.
Yeah.
So I think we're all in agreement then that yes, Lisa, and everybody, if like there are, you've got school districts who are working with you or OPKs or whatever, and you think it makes sense to you to give the link to them, that's fine. I mean, it's going to come back, and as I said, we can identify it for hubs, and it's going to come to you. So and we are serious about this. Please think of it as it's going to be data for you. So if that's what makes sense to you, then let's make it make sense, and let's get you that data.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions? You've got us held captive in front of you, these little boxes.
There is not the expectations that each hub should have a minimum, right? Okay.
No, I mean, again, it's you know, it would be great, because it always is great, right, to get as many as you can, because that'll provide you with the most information. But you know, we also know that parents can have thousands of things that are on their mind, and you know, it can often be hard to get their answers. That's why we're really hoping to incentivize. We're hoping that the incentive of a $50 gift card dangling out there will help them a little bit. But yeah, no expectations. I mean, I suspect that if we found that there was something, I mean, if there were lots of hubs that had lots of answers, and then there was a hub or two that only had 2 answers, we might reach out and say, hey, you only have 2 answers. Do you need help getting stuff out there? But there's no like, if you don't reach this minimum, we're going to be upset. There's, yeah, this again, it's data for you. Okay. And I think we got everything in the chat box. So we have agreed, just to circle around and confirm that yes, if you have other partners that who you would like to distribute the survey, who are recruiting for Preschool Promise, please feel free to give that to them. And as I said, feel free to reach out to us if you get other questions or have other questions, or run into other you know, other issues that you want to troubleshoot. An email invite will be coming in Spanish, yes, Sky, as well as traditional Chinese, Vietnamese, and Russian. And it'll, yes, they'll come, and then again, we've got them on a Google Drives too, so that you can always download them. And we'll work on the text, but if you want to do it sooner, go ahead. And if you want to use other language, that's fine. I just would ask, I mean, I think it's important just to get in there that the survey is anonymous for parents, so that they get it, but that is also represented on the top of that survey. And if you want to look at how the survey looks in the online format, you can do that. I would just ask that there's a place where you sign into the no, there isn't a consent form. Okay, never mind. You can do that. You can look, but it would be just nice if you somehow, wonder how we could, yeah. I just don't want you to put in fake data and then we think it's real. What about if you're going through to look at it and you really want to see it, you put in for the zip code, you just put in all zeros. So that it doesn't end up getting given to you as your own data. It won't kick you out. You can still look at it.
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
In the past, when families complete a survey, sometimes it's really hard if families step away from it because they have distractions. So for this one, would families be able to step away and later come back to it, or do they have to do it in one sitting?
That is a really wonderful and good question. I know that we do have, and thank you for that question, we do have the capacity to let families walk away, and they can request that they get an email sent to them with a link, and then they can use that link to get back to the survey. I know we've done that in the past. Let me double check and find out. I'll ask our data people if that's still working for this particular survey, and we will let you know. But theoretically, yes, it's very possible, and I don't know why we wouldn't have done it that way, but I'll confirm it. Thank you. That's a great question. Okay, I'm going to take silence as all questions answered, or at least all questions that can be answered are answered.
I have one
Wait.
more.
Okay, go ahead. Love questions.
Okay. So will this be getting sent out in an email or during our next cohort? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, well, I think we'll send you copies of all the suggested, or I don't know what we should say, just draft recruitment emails with the links in them in the different languages. And then we'll also send you the link to the place where they are on a Google Drive. So you'll also have access that way.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
I
And
just
you,
want
yeah.
to reiterate from some questions, right? So this was recorded. I'll be sharing a link out to this with everyone on my coordinated enrollment distribution list in case any of your colleagues aren't here. This is also going to be an agenda item for our cohorts this week, just to make sure we have time to see if there's any additional reflections or questions to go over as well. Just know that we're going to continue the conversation if you're feeling like there's probably thoughts you have that aren't quite ready to share, or questions that come to you after this as well. And if there aren't any now, then happy to return some time to you all. Really appreciate you joining today. And we will be in touch soon with the family survey language for emails to families, and continue to check in as we start putting this out there. Oh, I see the Google folder.
Yeah,
It's
there's
up in the
just
chat
for
right now.
people, for folks, if that's the link, and again, it's not already yet because it doesn't have the link embedded in it, but I will endeavor to do that by the end of today, and we'll definitely let you know when it's there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. And I'll be uploading this video and sending you all a link and follow up just as soon as I can. Thanks.